So that is one theory of the origins of money. And again, there are other theories, namely state theory and more social theories, that money arose from deep-rooted customs and conventions. But either way, whichever one you buy into, the social theory or more the market-based theory, or a combination of the two, it still begs the question: why gold and silver? And this is a question that must be answered in any history of money course, because gold and silver have been used as money for 5,000 or so years at least. And why? They have beyond ornamental uses, they have very little value. People have noted this for centuries. Why gold and silver? Ancient Mesopotamia, gold and silver was used as money. The first coins in human history were silver coins in ancient Greece in the 7th century BC. Gold and silver were used as money in in Asia, in Persia, in the Middle East, all throughout the world, really until the last 100 or so years, till the 20th century. In fact, gold and silver, especially silver, we'll see, was the first global currency. So, why is this? What caused that? The answer to the question is that silver and gold contain certain monetary properties, or certain attributes, certain properties about them that make them particularly well suited as a commodity money. So let's go through some of these. First of all, to qualify as a commodity money, a good commodity money, you must have intrinsic value. You must have some sort of use outside of its use as money. Gold and silver have long been noted for and long been valued for thousands of years, again, on multiple continents, for their beauty and their brightness. Now, if you're tempted to believe that that's just all subjective and that itself is just a result of convention, I would challenge you to consider, why was it that the Aztecs in the Mesoamerican civilizations valued gold and silver? When Cortez and the Spaniards arrived in Mexico, the Aztecs had gold and silver ornaments all over Tenochtitlan. That's one of the reasons why the Spaniards became so greedy and wreaked havoc over that civilization, because of all the gold and silver there. Why is it that, despite having zero contact whatsoever with the the old world civilizations, they still recognize a certain beauty about gold and silver and use them as ornaments? Interesting question. I would argue that it's because gold and silver are objectively beautiful objects. Objectively beautiful objects. They can be used for rings, for ornaments, for cups, for silverware, and that list goes on. So there's an intrinsic value there. But, that alone cannot answer our question, because this pen right here has intrinsic value. And yet, of course, it would never be, this pen is not going to be used as money. So there must be other things. Well, good commodity money must also be divisible and fusible. And what do we mean by this? Divisible in the sense that there must be an ability to cut it or to melt it, larger pieces into smaller pieces without losing its substance. There also must be an ability to unite smaller pieces into larger pieces. So large pieces and small pieces into large pieces without compromising or altering the substance of that good. This quality is not an attribute of diamonds, for example. Or to give you another example, in ancient Greece, before the invention of coin metal there, oxen and cattle were often used as a medium of exchange and even a money. And in fact, in one of the epics of Homer, the Iliad, the armor of Diomedes was said to cost 9 oxen. So 9 oxen, there you go. what if, just consider for a second, if the seller of that armor, for whatever reason, had to cut his price of that armor in half? Well, 4.5 oxen doesn't cut it, right? It may sound like a ridiculous example, but there you have a historical example of a commodity money, the oxen, the cattle, that is not divisible and thereby presents some problems. Not to mention the fact that's not a very portable money either, but we'll get to that in a second. A good quality commodity money must also be durable. It must neither fall apart nor disintegrate over time. A really good commodity money can last thousands of years without losing any of its value. This can't be said of certain foods, for example, that just simply cannot be preserved for any significant length of time. But in the case of gold and silver, there are an abundance today of ancient Roman coins that have lasted more than 2,000 years. Every now and then, archaeologists will find a chest from 2,500 years ago of all these different coins, and the substance is still there. A shipwreck might be discovered, and it's laying out there in the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean for 400 years, and yet there the coins are still preserved. Gold and silver aren't the only durable commodities monies in history. One commodity money that we will take a look at later are cowrie shells, which were used in Southeast Asia, in parts of Africa, among some of the Native Americans, and they came from the shell of a snail or a clam, and these were one of the most commonly used monies in the pre-modern world, really up through the 19th century. Very durable. Also have that intrinsic value. They're shiny. We'll talk more about these in a moment. They're not divisible. They're not fusible. And so that was a point against them, you could say, if you're tallying all the different attributes of a money. But a durable money nonetheless, and a portable money, relatively speaking. Portability is the other quality. A good commodity money must be highly transportable. And what this means is that it must have a high ratio of value for its comparatively small size. Let me give you some examples of a non-portable money. In Sweden, for a long time, the people used copper money. Copper is not as portable as gold and silver. The main copper unit in Sweden was 43 pounds. 43 pounds. In ancient Rome, the people originally used a bronze currency, and the main unit of the bronze currency weighed a full pound. They later converted to a silver coinage, and the value of a silver coin was convertible into 16 pounds of bronze. So you have one little silver coin in ancient Rome equal to 16 pounds of bronze. Silver currency won out, right? People, obviously, given a choice between a bulky bronze currency and a portable silver currency, you're going to choose the silver currency. Portability, by implication, requires some degree of scarcity. You want scarcity. Scarcity oftentimes presented as a bad thing, but scarcity is necessary in many cases, and this is one of them. Imagine for a moment if just overnight, thousands of pounds, let's say 2,000 pounds, right? This is admittedly a ridiculous hypothetical, but ride with me here. 2,000 pounds of gold just fell on the doorsteps of every American. Well, all right, gold standard it is. That's not going to be a very portable currency. You want to buy a cup of coffee? It's not going to cost you a little gold coin, right? You're going to need a lot of gold to buy that cup of coffee. It's no longer scarce. It loses its portability. I could go on. There are other examples too. In colonial Virginia, tobacco was used as money, and to buy basic things, you needed dozens of pounds of tobacco. In some cases, 100 or 200 pounds of tobacco, and you had to lug it to the coast perhaps, not a very portable currency. Not to mention the fact that it was not very durable either. It would become rank over time, or if not used. Some other attributes of a good quality commodity money. You want the commodity money to be fungible, or homogeneity, meaning a sameness in quality across the board. So an ounce of silver will be equal to an ounce of silver anywhere in the world, as far as quality is concerned, right? You don't have some silver that's better quality than other silver if they're all 100% silver. Now, maybe the silver has been injected with other metals, and in that case, yes, the substance has been altered. But if you have just silver with no other alloy added to it, it's equal and same. It's the same in quality as silver anywhere else in the world. Contrast this with, I'll go with the tobacco example again. Tobacco, right? Historically used as a money in parts of early America, it was not fungible. There were good grades of tobacco and there were bad grades of tobacco. You have your natural American spirits, and then you have your Pall Malls or whatever. High grades and low grades. This makes the use of, when a commodity money is not fungible, it becomes more difficult to use as a money. And then, of course, another quality, impressibility. Does the commodity money is there a capability there to stamp it with an impression, certifying the weight of the piece? Now, you have to trust whoever certified it. Maybe whoever is doing the certifying isn't trustworthy. Oftentimes they weren't. In the case of government, or sometimes private mints as well. But the ability to certify the weight is yet another attribute, in this case for all metals, not just gold and silver, that make it a good commodity money. And then the last one, if you're talking globally, for a global commodity currency, you would want the said currency to be geographically well distributed. Now here I found a current map of all the different mining centers around the world. These are all sorts of different metals and minerals, but gold is AU. You may remember in your chemistry class, I do at least in high school, they taught us for the periodic table. AU, I found gold. AG is just silver. AU is gold, AG is silver. AG is silver, and you can find on this map where they are. But gold and silver are found on every continent in the world. These are today the top 10 countries by gold production. You see South America, Africa, Asia, North America, Australia, Southeast Asia. There are a few gold mines in Eastern Europe, but they're not in the top worldwide. And then here's silver producing countries, the top silver producing countries, spread out fairly evenly across the world, barring Africa, which has more gold supplies than silver. And so geographically well distributed. Now this may, on first glance, seem to give an advantage to countries or regions that have gold and silver mines versus countries or regions that don't have gold or silver mines. But that's not really the case. If you consider it, if you live in a land or a country that has gold and silver mines, you're like, oh, right? Gold and silver are the currency. We're going to be really rich. Well, wait a second. Gold and silver, you can't just snap your fingers and it appears out of the ground and now you can use it. Gold and silver mining gold and silver requires immense time, labor, and capital. And so that region expends much of those things on mining. That, by consequence, now they have to acquire from outside countries basic things, food or clothing or whatever, manufactured goods. if you live in a land without any gold or silver mines at all, like, well, Britain has a few gold or silver mines, but comparatively fewer. If you live in a land without an abundance of gold or silver mines, you have to acquire it through foreign trade. But think about it. You didn't have to spend any time, labor, or capital on mining. You got to spend your time, labor, and capital on producing other goods to then trade to regions with gold or silver mines. So I brought up Britain for a reason. Britain became, a magnet for much of the gold and silver in the world, especially from the Industrial Revolution onward. But even before that, because even though they didn't have many mines, they were able to trade things that they expended time, labor, and capital on to other countries and to other regions for that gold and silver. So here's a list of the money-friendly properties. And by the end of it, if you consider it, if you have to have a commodity money, if you must have a commodity money, gold and silver is the best. And that's because they have these qualities. Now, the question is, do you want a commodity money? And I think by the end of this course, we'll look at pros and cons, but you may not want a commodity money. But if you are to have a commodity money, gold and silver is the ideal commodity money because it possesses these attributes, these money-friendly properties. And again, that is why I believe, and many other people throughout history believe, that this is indeed why gold and silver was used for so many thousands of years. Estimated gold production in the history of the world is at about 5 billion ounces. 5 billion ounces of gold. That's not silver. Silver would be even greater than that. Some vocabulary as we proceed forward in this course. When you hear me talk about bullion, bullion is uncoined gold or silver. Bullion is uncoined gold or silver. If you hear the word specie, specie is a synonym for gold or silver. And if you hear the term alloy, alloy is when additional material is added to a coin to strengthen it. So gold is a softer metal. Historically, a little bit of silver is added to the gold. You'll see here the American gold eagle, the old gold coin in the United States, was 92% gold. And then it had 3% silver and 5% copper to strengthen it. Silver, in turn, you may have heard of the term sterling silver. Sterling silver, which is the standard in Great Britain, is 92.5% silver and then 7.5% copper. And the copper is added to silver to make it sterling silver, to strengthen it, to make it more useful for dishes and for silverware. So that's alloy.